Good morning to you. This is the Find Your Soul show, and this is Pip Coleman coming in to start the month of December with a new topic. And our new topic, I thought I would follow the lead of one of my favorite podcasters and authors and mentors, the fantastic Glennon Doyle. I've been listening to her wonderful podcast called You Can Do Hard Things, and she and her partner Abby have been talking about holiday hacks and ways to get through the holiday that are supportive of you, so looking after you during this holiday season. And that's a big thing for some of us who are very empathetic, very sensitive people who want to please others. Those of us who are recovering people pleasers, I feel you. I know. I know how hard it is sometimes, especially in the holiday when it's just so intense, when everybody's asking us to do things and more than we normally would, and there's that sort of overabundance of everything. Everything is most. It's like, they say that, the holidays are the most wonderful time of the year. There's a song about it. And we are going to talk about how you can handle the fact that it is just the most. It's the most triggering. It's the most stressful. It's the most emotional. It's the most overwhelming. It's just the most. Like this whole season is the most. And interestingly, Glennon said on her podcast that 45% of Americans apparently would rather skip the holidays completely and just go from November to January. And so we're going to talk about a few little things, particularly around how can you do this in a loving way? How can you do the holidays? How can you do this month of December? How can you do your gatherings in a loving and caring way for yourself? So say hello to and where you're from. Say hey when you're watching, and please feel free to comment as we go, because I would love to talk to you about what's coming up for you this holiday season. And obviously this topic can be a bit triggering, so if you find that the things that we talk about today or in the coming weeks are really sensitive and it's bringing up some stuff for you and you feel like you need some extra support, now's the time to book in for some coaching so that we can walk that path together. You might need someone who you can actually bounce some ideas off. You might need somebody who can just listen to you, who's not your family. You might need somebody to help you reframe. And if that is what you need in the coming months, then please reach out and ask for some help, because I am practicing that myself. I am practicing allowing other people to help me so that I can serve people better. And that, as a woman, I know a lot of women out there who feel like they give and give and give, and they don't ask for help. And they even find it hard to receive it if someone just offers to help them, because we have been so trained. We've been so beautifully trained, so well trained, that we are in that space of serving, and not actually allowing ourselves to receive. So let's practice that over the coming weeks as we come into this holiday season, and start to move into that space of being allowed to choose the Christmas, the New Year's, the whatever it is that you decide to do over these holidays, that you're allowed to choose it, because as you'll notice, the title of this particular week's topic is It's Your Effing Christmas Too. And I know that seems a bit like, oh my God, that's so selfish. Like, how can I do that? I feel guilty if I do what I want to do instead of what the family wants to do. And so we need to talk around that. Let's be honest about that. Let's tell the truth. First and foremost, let's tell the truth to ourselves so that we can see if we can make some shifts, even if it's just little shifts towards having a more joyful, more calm, more loving, more free, and Christmas and New Year and holiday season, that's yours. That's the way you want it. So, a lot of the stress that comes from this time is because we're doing things we don't want to do. And so if we could do less of the things that we hate at this time, then we might not hate the season or the time of the year as much. So it's about stop doing the things you hate over this period of time. So feel free to share with me. This is a safe space to share things that you don't like doing over the holidays. Some people don't like cooking. Some people don't like having to spend a whole day with their extended family that they never see any other time, but they have to see them at Christmas time. Some people don't like the traditions, like the things that happen at certain times of the day. They don't like the structure of it. They want to have more of a free-flowing kind of a day. Some people, don't like the games. The games that people play at Christmas, the ones, and I'm talking about like actual games, playing cricket or, board games or whatever it is, Cluedo, all of those sorts of games. Some people don't like the games, and I put them in inverted commas in terms of the things that happen in our relationships where we, this person says this and that person says that, and then you have this like ha 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 ha, and it's like you don't like playing the game. You don't like doing that like pretense. You just can't. It makes you tired. It exhausts you. There's so many different things that can come up around this time around what is it that you actually would like to do in this Christmas and holiday period of time leading up to. There's lots of work dues and, lots of expectations, lots of obligations that happen at this time of the year that we can start to shift and change those and reclaim our holiday time and make some decisions and choices, because you do have a choice. You do always have a choice. We think sometimes that we don't, and it might feel like sometimes we don't have a choice, but we always have a choice about what we choose to do. So there was a story that I was listening to this morning on Glennon's podcast, and she was saying that there was a lady who she wants to spend Christmas on her own. That's what she wants to do. She wants to spend her holidays by herself because she's got a very intense job, and so she's always, interacting with people. And so her holiday time is time to fill up herself and spend time on her own. So she likes to spend her holidays alone, but her sister can't bear the thought of her being alone, and so she is constantly trying to get her to come to these events and these family things because she doesn't want her to be by herself at Christmas, because the sister, can't bear to be alone at that time. But what she actually really wants is to go off on her own to a resort and just have complete alone time, and that's what would fill her up. So what she's done is she's told her sister that she's meeting a friend and she's having Christmas with her friend, so that her sister doesn't get upset that she's by herself, but in actual fact, she's going somewhere by herself. And as much as that is a lie, and there is not a complete truth being told in that she is lying to her sister, she is, however, honouring herself in that moment. She's going, how can I protect my sister and make sure that she's okay by telling her that I am going to be with someone and it's going to be okay and I'm not alone. And also take care of herself by going and having this time in this resort alone. And so in a way, everybody's happy. It's not absolutely ideal in terms of telling the truth. However, it is honouring to a degree your needs, your specific needs, and what it is that you want. Because remember, it's not only your effing holiday, it's your life. It's your effing life, How do you want to live your life? How do you want to actually live in this world? And that's what we need to remember when we are starting to look at these things, because you could keep doing this for the rest of time if you want to. You can keep having that stress in the holiday period. You can keep doing what everybody else wants to do and put your needs aside. You can do those things. You have been. You can do hard things. That's what Glennon says. We can do hard things, and we don't have to. There is a choice there that's happening. You are choosing to do these things. So the other thing is that that whole idea of going off on your own and being in a resort might not be what you actually want. What you actually want is a different way of interacting with your family. And if you have children and you have certain things that you like to do each year, then you might actually want to sit them down and say, hey, what do we all want to do this Christmas? How do we actually want to do things? Do we even want to have a big lunch? One of the things that we need to look at is our blueprints, our old blueprints, because here's a really obvious one. In Australia, it's hot. It's quite hot at Christmas time. For example, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, and it's very warm at this time of the year. So the tradition of the hot meal that would happen in the Northern Hemisphere, for example, where they have the hot meal and the hot drinks and the hot, everything, because it's so cold and snowing in some places at Christmas time, it makes sense to have a hot meal at lunchtime and a hot meal at dinner time, and because you're cold. So doing all of that, it doesn't just feed us in terms of our actual food, it feeds us in terms of that feeling of security and warmth and bringing us together and all of those things. But that tradition doesn't really make sense in a place where it's 30 to 40 degrees centigrade and you're boiling hot. You don't want a big hot meal at this time of the year. So sometimes we need to honestly look at, can we do something different for the meal this year that actually makes sense? Can we still feel filled up and joyful and comforted and loved by our food and that ritual of eating together and celebrating together, or on your own if you're just choosing to be on your own for this time? Can you do that with cold food? Can you do it with some cold food and like one chicken or one piece of ham or whatever? Is there a way that you can rejig the old traditions to actually make it a more comfortable and fun and easy part of the day or the holiday? Does that make sense? So, this is, I can't see your comments at the moment, so I'm hoping that this is resonating with you. So please put your comments in there and I can go back later and comment on them and respond to you. So I'm just going to keep talking. So the other thing to be important, is if you're not with your family at Christmas, if you choose that you're not going to be with your family at Christmas, there's some really amazing benefits to that. I remember when I was working on cruise ships, I used to be away at Christmas time, and I think I did 3 Christmases away from the family because my contract went over that period of December, and I was not as fussed about being on board at Christmas time, because they still do Christmassy things because some of the guests obviously like that. But a lot of the guests who were on board at Christmas time were not actually celebrating Christmas. They were away on a cruise ship for that reason. They weren't celebrating Christmas. So even though we did some Christmassy things, for some people, and there was a Christmas show, and there was, things that we did for the kids and things like that, it wasn't something that all of the guests participated in, because they were on the ship, as I say, not to celebrate Christmas in the way that it normally is celebrated, but to give themselves an opportunity to create a new Christmas tradition. Some people came on the ship every year for Christmas because they didn't want to do the family, whatever the family tradition was. So that's something that's really interesting to think about in terms of, how would you prefer to spend that time? And those memories that I have of being on that ship, as much as it was weird and strange to be not around my family, it was really cool. It was really cool to have different memories, to have fun, crazy, memories of silly things that we did at Christmas, silly secret Santas that we did that were fun. And if you've read my book, Finding My Soul at Sea, you will know that there's a couple of stories in there about Christmas trees, and Christmas, crazy Christmas gifts that were given a couple of times that you'll see. So you can get my book at my website, pipcoleman.com, and in the store. And that way you can actually read the stories yourself, because I don't want to spoil it, but there is some interesting stories around Christmas and Christmas traditions. So you might like to check that out just as something funny. And those of you who've read the book, you know what I'm talking about, particularly with the Christmas tree, the shaving of the Christmas tree into the hair. Anyway, you'll know what I mean when you read the book. So the other thing that I want to talk about too is viewing the things that you do. If you're creating your own traditions in your family, your family perhaps not doing the same things as your parents, and you're wanting to create those new traditions for yourself, even if your parents are still with you, you can still look at each year as, how can we do this differently? How can we experiment and, try doing things differently? I know when the kids grow up, you start to do things differently because you have adult Christmases rather than the things that you might do when the kids are little and that sort of thing. One of the things that our family does is we've started doing what we call the Woolamai Challenge, which it's because it's at my house. And so that's what we named it, is the Woolamai Challenge. And my dad and my sister get together and they make up all these crazy games and silly things to do, including like stuffing as much popcorn into your mouth as you can in a minute, and throwing socks into a basket. Like, how many socks can you throw into, the balled up socks into a basket? Throwing cards into a bucket. What else do we do? We make words out of raisins. You get a raisin, the raisin packet, the little sultana packet, and you have to make words, as many words as you can in a minute, with the raisins. And then what else do we do? Balancing, like crazy balancing exercises, challenges. Hey, Gary. So there's lots of things in the challenge, and each year my dad makes up like these, extra funny things to add to that, and there's like word games and things like that, and we have teams of two, and at the end we get a trophy. If you win the challenge, you get a trophy. So we've created this tradition, this funny game, this challenge to do that for all the adults, because we don't have any kids at our Christmas gathering, or we haven't had any kids at our Christmas gathering for the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years. So that way there is still that energy of playfulness, there's still that energy of fun, there's still things that are going on that are to look forward to, and you know, there's still gift giving, and you know, but it's done the way that we want to do it, rather than the way that our grandparents or parents or whatever used to do it, so that it works for us. It works for the people who are coming to the gathering. So so if you have specific things that you do that each year, if you tweak it, you know, be curious about how you can tweak it. How can you experiment with adding new things or taking away some things that cause you stress? You know, if there's parts of the day or the days that cause you stress, if there's, you know, too many people in the house on a one particular day, you could split the day or split the people. Just say, look, we're going to do this with you guys in the morning, we're going to do this with you guys in the afternoon, so that your day is not overwhelmed. Or we're going to do this at your house and this at my house on an, you know, or this on New Year's Eve and this on Christmas Day, or whatever, Christmas Eve. You can choose what you want to do because it's your Christmas. And here's the thing, if you're struggling with speaking your truth to yourself, let alone to other people, if you're struggling with that and you need some coaching around that, then please do reach out, because that's something that we could do together. We could work through this holiday period together, and I could support you through that. That's what I do as my business. I'm a coach. I help people to work through their stuff, and we can practice saying different words and asking for different things, and honoring yourself first more than you honor other people. And that's not to say that you never honor other people. It's just to say that you practice looking at what it is that you want and what will make you happy. And then you factor in what other people are going to be doing and wanting and needing too. So, speaking of what you might be going through at this time of the year, this is a unique situation in that we've had 2 really intense years of COVID restrictions, not seeing people, not having anybody in our houses. In some cases, we've been very isolated and restricted, particularly in Victoria. So it is perfectly fine if you feel like you're not ready to have a massive family gathering at your house. If you really honestly need to ease yourself into that, then now is the time to set that boundary. Now is the time to say, you know what? I'm not feeling quite ready to do this. So I'm not going to come to Christmas Day, dinner, lunch, Christmas Eve. I'm not going to do all of those things. I'm just going to come to one. And most people, some people might be upset with that, and that's okay. But most people will probably go, yeah, that's fair enough. Like, it's been a really intense time, and a lot of people are worried, feeling a bit nervous about going into big gatherings again. So be kind to yourself if that's how you feel. Be compassionate to yourself. Be compassionate to other people if that's how they feel. You know, one of my friends said to me the other day that she was worried about driving up to Melbourne City from this regional area to go to dinner with some friends. She was worried about that. She got all panicky and felt anxious and worried because she was going from a safe area to a not so safe area, because that's what we've been told, that space is not safe, this space is safer, you know. So we've had this drilled into us, this fear, you know. So be really mindful and compassionate of that in this time where we are really wanting to and needing to connect with each other, and it's really important that you be kind to yourself in this space. So one of the things that might have happened over the last 2 years or the last year is that you might have had a breakup of a relationship. You might have had a loss of a job. You might have had something big that's happened to you, an injury, an illness. Something might have happened where you are really, really feeling vulnerable, even more so than normal at this time. So I'm sorry, and I send you my love if that is how you're feeling right now, because it's so intense already in the world. And then if you've had those big things happen to you as well, it's even more important that you take care of yourself at this time. So use this situation as your perfect opportunity to take even better care of yourself. You are allowed to say, I'm not ready, I'm not feeling it, I don't want to be at this Christmas gathering because I'm feeling really vulnerable and sad and upset. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. And that's okay. That's okay. And that's actually probably the best thing that you could do, is to give yourself that space. There is support as well. If you're going through something like that, and as well as the Christmas stuff, and you need support, then please do reach out, because that's another thing that I can help you with, is working through those transitions, those transformations that happen in our life. That is something that I can help you with. That's what the Divine Alignment Coaching Program is all about. It's about coming back to your divine self, to being back in alignment with you, completely you alone, and remembering your strengths, remembering that you are intuitive, remembering that you actually are able to make these decisions and choices for yourself, and that you don't have to rely on other people necessarily, but you can be discerning about who you have in your space. So that is available to you. So please do reach out if you need that support. So there is a beautiful analogy that Glennon Doyle was talking about on her podcast this morning, and that was the soft shell crab. A lot of people feel like they are soft shell crabs at Christmas. They're like really feeling vulnerable. They're feeling very emotional. They feel like they get really triggered, and they go into their Christmas and New Year's gatherings feeling very unprotected, and in that space of, I don't have my protective shell. I'm more sensitive than normal. So now is the time to choose yourself. And, one of the things to remember is that if you are feeling really vulnerable, that you have the ability to step out of that situation. You are allowed to step out of that situation, and you're allowed to adjust to work so it works for you. So you choose yourself, which is awesome. So I was going to do a little tapping around feeling guilty with you as well. And I'm just mindful of the time. So let me have a look here, making sure that I'm, staying on time. So if you are, if you're out there and you've had any aha moments, please feel free to comment below about what's coming up for you around the Christmas you would like, the Christmas you'd prefer, and let me know what those thoughts are. And we'll do a little tapping on feeling guilty about choosing yourself. Okay, so if you want to close your eyes, I'm just going to do a little 5-minute tapping on this. So because we are at 9:30 already, but I feel like it's important that you have this little tool, because when we start to choose ourselves, we do sometimes tend to get into that space of feeling guilty that we're choosing ourselves. So take a nice deep breath in through the nose and breathing out. And if you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes and focus on the guilt that you might feel around choosing yourself and choosing what you want to do this holiday season. And take a moment to think about it, feel it in your body as you breathe. And on a scale of 0 to 10, how intensely are you experiencing that guilt right now? So whatever the first number is that comes to mind, you can write that down, or you can just take note of what that number is. You can put it in the comments. And let's start by taking another deep breath, feeling safe and grounded in your body, feeling present in space and time. And we'll start by tapping on the karate chop point and repeating after me. Even though I feel so much guilt about choosing for myself this holiday season, I love and accept myself and how I feel. Even though it all feels like too much and I feel all this guilt, I deeply, completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel so much guilt about choosing what I want to do this holiday season, I'm willing to love and accept myself now. Let's tap through the points, tapping on the eyebrow point. So much guilt. Side of the eye. It feels so heavy inside me. Under the eye. I feel guilty about choosing myself. Under the nose. I deserve to feel guilty. Under the mouth. It just feels wrong to choose myself. Collarbone. It's always been the other way. Everybody else, not me. Under the arm. How can I stop doing the things that I hate in the holidays? Can I spend time completely alone? Can I view this as an experiment? Side of the eye. Can I do what I want and have a great time? Under the eye. No. Feeling too guilty. Under the nose. It's always been this way. Chin. It's what my parents have always did. Collarbone. It's what my grandparents always did. Under the arm. This old blueprint of what the holidays look like. How can I feel free as you tap the top of your head? Eyebrow. How can I feel loved? Side of the eye. How can I feel joyful? Under the eye. How can I feel free? How can I feel joyful? Chin. How can I feel loved? Collarbone. How can I tell the truth to myself and others? Under the arm. How can I not be that soft-shelled crab? Top of the head. I'm allowed. Eyebrow. I'm exploring my options. Side of the eye. I'm adapting to current demands. Under the eye, I'm allowed to choose what I want to do. Under the nose, I can stop doing the things that I hate. Chin, I can be alone at Christmas if I want. Collarbone, I can change the things that don't work. Under the arm, I can add fun things to my holidays. Top of the head, I can suggest these things to my family. Eyebrow, I can ask what my family would prefer to do. Side of the eye, I can ask what my kids would prefer to do. Under the eye, we can do this together. Under the nose, I can choose not to be involved if I want to. Chin, I'm responsible for my experience. Collarbone, this is my effing Christmas too. Under the arm, the holidays are for filling me up, not being drained. Top of the head, I'm hopeful and excited to choose what I want to do this holidays. And just relax the arms, take a breath, put your hand on your heart, and just take this moment to check in. Focus on the guilt that you might be feeling now. Think about it and feel it in your body. And what's your number now? Your number from 0 to 10. Feeling safe and grounded in your body. Feeling present in space and time. Knowing that you have the power to choose. You have the power to tell the truth to yourself and others. You're allowed to choose. You're allowed to tell the truth to yourself and others. And you can stop doing the things that you don't want to do so that you can have a nicer, kinder, freer, joyful, loved, fueled holiday season. So, coming back into your space, opening your eyes and rejoining us. And let me know how you're feeling now. Share. And we are going to meet again next week to do some more holiday hacks. Next week we're going to be talking about expectations. Preparing for expectations and how to do that. How to kind of work on the things that people, the obligations and the expectations. How can we work with those, and how can we shift those and not be so activated by them? So, great. That's good to hear, Kerry. I'm glad that you don't feel as stressed. That's fantastic. You can always redo this little tapping meditation, and I look forward to talking to you next week about looking after yourself during this holiday season. And as I said before, if you feel like you need support, now is the time to reach out and ask for help. I'll be there. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Take good care, and now is your time to step into your truth. You're going to be okay. All right. Lovely to see you all. I'll see you next week.